we are in a potential icon. Now VW obviously has a good record with icons, obviously starting with the Beetle in 1938 and then moving on to the Golf in 1974. And obviously the GTI being known as the best hot hatch you can buy for basically the last 8 generations of the car. This week we are in a car that they are basically trying to create an icon out of an electric car. So this is the ID.3. It's slightly shorter than a Golf, it's slightly narrower than a Golf, it's taller than a Golf, but it has a longer wheelbase. So in theory, that means you get a larger space inside. Let's talk about the exterior looks first. I wasn't so sure about the exterior looks. I thought it looked a little bit tall. I thought it looked like it was going to topple over if you drove it too hard, and I wasn't so sure on it. After being with it for a little while this week, I've started to realise that actually there are little things on it that I really, really like. So I love the front lights. I think they're really, really pretty. I think the front end is lovely. I'm not so sure on the rose gold wheels. Even though these ones are 19s, which are an extra, you can go all the way up to 20s, and it comes as standard on 18s. These 19s in the rose gold, not so sure, or the bronze, or whatever it is. Also, the stickers on the outside, I could leave those. I think they look naff, and they are genuinely stickers, and I don't like those. But they're all subjective. Some people might like that. The interior. The interior is very sparse. Like all of these electric cars, there is literally nothing in here. There are no buttons, there are no nothing. They're all touch, and the touch buttons here to do the volume, don't like that at all. Why can't I just have a knob? I don't necessarily mind that that's there because I use the steering wheel buttons. Now the steering wheel buttons are lovely. Steering wheel buttons are, they have a bit of resistance, and then when you do press them, they vibrate on your finger when you press them. I really like that, and you can basically access everything from here. The binnacle in front of you that has the speedometer, etc., and the lane assist and cruise control, that moves with the whole steering column. I think that's an excellent idea because it means that the steering wheel never obstructs the instrument cluster in front of you. The thing I don't like in this interior is I don't like the seats. The seats have no support to talk of. They're very comfortable. They have this horrible cheap armrest, which actually makes for a very nice, comfortable driving position, but I feel like there will be real trouble with this as time goes past. The material of the seats, they're just not good enough for what is effectively a range-topping version of the ID.3 that I'm in today, and that is £43,000 for this car. The boot has a slightly bigger boot than a Golf at 385 litres. The gear selector in this interior of this car is up here on the instrument cluster. It's a very strange sort of twist to go forwards and pull back to reverse, and I really don't like it. I'm sure you get used to it, but I really don't like it. The amount of times I've gone the wrong way, and I'm just paranoid that I'm going to either fire into someone behind me or I'm going to fire forwards when I'm wanting reverse. I just don't like it. I think there's nothing wrong with a normal gear selector that they could have given us down here, or a push button, or whatever they, whatever they wanted to give us. I need you to go and do something for me. I need you to go and subscribe in the bottom, because we've got some amazing things coming up. We've got racing drivers, we've got race tracks, we've got really cool cars like Caterhams, BMW M4s, McLarens, all that kind of stuff coming in this year, and we're trying to give as much good advice as we possibly can, but we need you to subscribe. Moving on from that, the driving dynamics of this car, it's like a 911. It's rear driven, rear engined. That's literally where the driving dynamics stop with a 911. It is a nice car to drive, don't get me wrong. The turn-in is lovely. It's got plenty of overtaking poke. Does 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds. It's got 204 horsepower from this engine, from this electric motor. It's got plenty of go, and yeah, it's nice. The steering is quite numb, but it is on all EVs, it seems, these days. There isn't one I've really found until you get into the Taycans and e-tron GTs, etc., that have really good driving dynamics. But this is, you can have fun in this car. You really can. It's nice. The brakes, I'm not so sure on the brakes. It's got drums on the rear, and they're just a bit numb. I feel like you have to work the pedal quite hard to get a lot of braking performance from them. They do work and they are consistent, but they're consistently not my favourite thing. For a car that's on 19-inch rims, I'm exceptionally impressed with the ride of this car. It's comfortable, but predictable. Like you driving down this isn't a particularly good road, we're going over loads of potholes, etc. It's a really, really good riding car. It's well damped, it's very, very good. And we're on a nice little twisty bit of road here. And it's a really nice car to drive, and you could have a little bit of fun in it if you wanted to. There are 3 battery sizes. This one is the 77 kilowatt hour model, which that will give you a range of about 330 miles. Then there is the middling one, which is a 58 kilowatt hour battery, which will give you a range of about 260 miles. Then there is the smallest one, which is 45 kilowatt hours, and that will give you a range of about 200 miles. So that car is going to be used for driving around town, doing short journeys. This one, on a normal home charger that you'd have put in at your home, would get from 0 to fully charged in 9 hours. But if you can find a 100 kilowatt hour fast charger, this one will go from 10% to 80% in half an hour, which is actually perfectly fast enough for everyday usage. There are 2 driving modes. There are driving modes in the infotainment system that you can go to, Sport, Eco, all of that kind of stuff. But there are 2 driving modes on the binnacle here. There is D and there is B. Now D is just normal driving, and there is absolutely no regen braking on D mode. So if you come off the throttle, it just coasts. And it feels like it coasts for ages. It feels like there's like bearings on it that it would just go forever and ever and ever. I actually quite like that because it means you have to use the brakes, and it means you have to drive it like a normal ICE car, whatever you want to call it. And I think that I quite like that. But you're not getting any of the regen braking like you would in the B mode. The B mode gives you regen braking. It will not bring you to a complete stop, so you can't do single pedal driving. Now, I'm not that fussed by that because I hate single pedal driving, but I know some people really want to be able to do that. So if we're doing 30 miles an hour now, if I take it off, it goes to half braking, it says there, and we're down to 20 miles an hour already. And the middling model of this car starts at about the £32,000 mark, and I know that VW are trying to get them out to a lot of people. So they're saying that you could pop £2,000 in as a deposit, and then you could get one of these for about 350 quid a month. Now, that is a very attractive deal. This one, as I say, is £43,000 with a few of the little options it's got on it. So with the bronzy stuff, the 19-inch wheels and that sort of kit that you don't necessarily need. It's a really, really nice car. If you're interested in one of these small electric cars, but this one is sort of a middling to small to medium, I'd say it's sort of medium-sized one, isn't it? Let's be honest. This one is a really nice car to drive. It would be a companion. It would be a great companion over many, many thousands of miles, like a Golf would. I'm yet to see that I would genuinely fall in love with one of these, but it is a good car to drive and would be a lovely car to live with. As always, subscribe, ring the little bell. It really does help us out massively. We're really pushing the boundaries this year. We're doing some really cool stuff. I'll see you in the next one.